Well, hello, happy NCAA tournament Thursday. I wasn't expecting to come on and talk a little Reds baseball on this glorious holiday for people like myself, but the Reds decided they just wanted to dump a whole bunch of news this Thursday afternoon, and I brought my friend Hunter Hurst. Hunter, more news on Hunter coming up in a couple days, but Hunter's going to be helping us out with some Reds content. We'll tease it at that for now. Hunter, my friend, how you doing?
Hanging in there, man. Excited. Obviously, national holiday, and we're a week out from opening day, which is another national holiday to me. You won't be seeing me in the office that day. So, yeah, we're super excited, man. Thanks for having me on.
You guys, you diehard Reds fans, you better know how much I love you. I got like 50 bets in today. We got a game with 1 minute and 4 seconds left, and I'm talking about Jose Trevino and Carson Spiers. So I love you. Don't ever forget that on a day like today. But in all seriousness, let's jump into the news. This one really surprised me, Hunter. Jose Trevino, 3-year, $15 million contract extension. He was going to be a free agent after the 2025 season. So this is 2 more additional years. And then he has an option in 2028 for $6 million. I'm assuming you probably, like me, did not see this one coming.
No, not at all. I mean, it's obvious he's been with the team for a month, and he's really made an impact for them to go out and make an extension, get this guy here for long term. And it's not. I mean, it's kind of 1B catcher money. You're getting what you're really asking for there for $5 million, and he can be kind of a mentor to both Stevenson and then Alfredo Duno as well.
Yeah, and I mean, free agent catching is the hardest thing to understand the value of the contracts. Like I saw Austin Hedges, I think last year got like $8 million. And I've seen other ones go for like cheap, and I have no understanding whatsoever of how teams value guys for contracts. But looking at kind of what other people have gotten in the past, having said that, it looks like a pretty good deal for the Reds. But again, it's hard for me to really evaluate one way or the other. The thing I'm most excited about, Hunter, is this year, because the fact the Reds are extending this guy makes me believe that they have saw a lot in camp that they love. That this guy's going to be a real impact, probably way more on like pitching staff. They must feel that this guy is a necessity to keep around for the pitching staff. And more so than the years beyond this year, I'm really excited about what this means for this year.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. You got a really young staff with the Reds. Hunter Green kind of had his breakout last year before the blister stuff with Lodolo. He was having a really nice start to the year. And then you got a kind of couple unknowns there. We don't know what we're going to see with Brady Singer and whoever takes over that fifth spot. Obviously, we'll get to it, but right now it's Carson Spiers. And then it kind of reminds me of how guys like Martin Maldonado and Jeff Mathis kind of hung around, the value that they add, not at the plate, but behind the plate and what they can do with your staff. Because, Jose Fernandez, he was fantastic and was a big fan of Jeff Mathis being his catcher when he was in Miami prior to, that tragedy and all that unfortunate stuff. But guys like that, they're able to hold on and they have impact. He might hit 215 like he did last year with 8 homers, but he's going to provide a lot more impact on the defensive end and with your staff as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I guess the big other question and aspect of this now is, what does this mean for Tyler Stephenson? I don't think it means anything for Tyler Stephenson. I don't think this is a good sign that the Reds are going to extend Tyler Stephenson. I don't think it's a bad sign. I think this is just a opportunity that the Reds front office saw. They said, hey, we can get a deal done. This makes sense with our budget. I don't think the Reds view this as some sort of big puzzle piece or anything like that. That's my reading on this. I don't think it really impacts one way or another anything that has to do with Tyler Stephenson, who I think we all would love to have a contract extension. Probably some of us a little bit more hesitant in terms of the years and the dollars, but I think we all would love to have Tyler Stephenson, who is a free agent after next season, after the 2026 season.
Yeah, so we know that we have 2 full years of Tyler Stephenson, and he's had some health issues in the past, but this Trevino deal, I don't think it has anything to do with him at all. different players. I think Trevino can help him on the defensive end, but Stevenson, I mean, he's got a really good bat. I wouldn't say he's like a Buster Posey type or Real Muto or anything like that, but he's going to provide you a solid bat. And he started to get better throughout last year as well. So I don't think this has anything to do with Tyler Stephenson.
Whether you keep Tyler Stephenson or not, you're probably gonna have to pay a catcher about $5 million to be your starter, your backup, or whatever. So it's just filling a need and a thing that I think the Reds saw as a value and an opportunity, and we'll see where it goes. But I don't think it has any impact on anything else going forward. Although I do hope we see some more contract extensions because, man, if the Reds could get obviously we would love Ellie De La Cruz to get extended, but let's move past that. If the Reds could find maybe a value contract extension for Matt McLain or I'll say Nick Lodolo. I think that might be a polarizing one, but if they could do one of those before the season, that would really excite me going forward.
100%. You've seen the framework of it with, what they do down in Atlanta. They got one good year out of Michael Harris and immediately locked him up. I think that's something we could see with Lodolo or Stevenson. Or Matt McLain would definitely be the guy I would like to lock up moving forward, especially he moved off of the Boris camp. So there might be some headway being made there, but that's behind the scenes stuff that we don't know.
That's a good point. Something we probably should have talked about, honestly, before, but we haven't. There could be some legs there. I do always try to caution people on contract extensions. We want to extend every single player, and I would say more often than not, quite a bit. We come back 5 years later and we're like, yeah, thank God we didn't extend that guy. So you always want to be very careful with that. I think you have to be very selecting and you're picking and choosing which ones you do. But I think McLain would make sense. Not a crazy one. I'm not going over the moon on him by any stretch of the imagination. Is there anyone else that you can really think of right now? I don't. Maybe CES. I don't know. Probably not.
I just don't think McLain's the guy in 23 that really showed you a whole lot of what he can do and what he can be when he's healthy. And then, last year's a wash. He missed all last year. And CES, he only played 28 games, I think it was last year, and it was a brutal April for him. So you kind of want to see what you have with him this year, and I think we will, with him being an everyday guy. You mentioned the Lodolo one. That might be polarizing for some people, but I'm a fan.
Value.
If he can get the blister stuff under control and, keep just working and kind of limit the home runs, I think he's going to be a big piece of this Reds team, not only this year, but moving forward. And I don't see any reason why you wouldn't lock up a guy who has dominated in the early parts of the season until he's ran into that injury bug, blister bug.
We also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. All right, so Ellie, McLain, Lodolo, those are mine. And then I have one more.
Oh,
Chase Burns. Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
I don't blame you at all. So I was lucky enough when I worked at Morehead State, we played a weekend series in Tennessee, and he started the Saturday game. So had Chase Dollander Friday and then Chase Burns on Saturday. I mean, it was not a Roldis Chapman level of the ball exploding out of his hand, but he's unbelievable. I mean, he facing a lineup that hit, I think, 305 on the year, 1 through 9, and he just dominated, had 12 strikeouts. And that was at Tennessee the year they ended up moving him to the bullpen. And then he goes to Wake Forest and dominates. And now, we've got to see him pitch, and his stuff, it tracks. It's unreal. And I think you need to lock him up. Maybe I kind of want to see if he gets the Skeens treatment this year. Especially with the fifth starter role kind of being a question mark for the Reds.
Yeah, fifth star is what we'll get into here next. Gavin Lux, that's another one. He's got 1 year left. It had to be a big value one. Big value one. That's one I would be interested in. I think Lux is going to want to. I don't see why he would want to sign a contract extension right now, though, because he's going to have a chance to have a big year in Cincinnati and completely raise his value. All right, let's talk about the other big news of the day, Hunter. Andrew Abbott starting the year on the IL. I think that's going to be a headline that's going to make people go, oh my gosh, we're panic. From what I'm reading, and maybe there'll be more news that comes out after we talk, but everything that I've read, just he's not going to be ready for opening day. So they should really not call it he's starting the year on the IL. He's starting the year in the not ready for opening day. Probably sounds like he's going to go to AAA on a rehab assignment. It's not an official option, which is good because you don't want to option guys. You don't have to for the option game longer down the road. Sounds like he probably gets a couple starts down there. If he does well, he probably joins the Reds rotation. Although, if Carson Spiers, who's taking that fifth rotation spot, if he comes out and pitches well, Andrew Abbott could get optioned down to AAA. That is an option. But this also kind of, I think, kicks the can down the road a little bit for the Reds to where they don't have to make a decision. Carson Spiers has looked great this spring, and take what you want for spring. But let's also not forget, Carson Spiers had about a 2-month stretch at the beginning of last season where we were talking about him as a potential rotation piece. And then he fell off the wagon. But he's had some moments for the Reds. I don't hate giving him a chance to start the year, especially if it's, helping Abbott make sure he's ready. I think I like Carson Spiers more than a rushed Andrew Abbott. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy at all. This is kind of how I felt about the, Guardians game we played him in Goodyear the other night. Let's see if Abbott's ready. It was his first start of the spring, his debut. And he came out, and the first inning was rough, but he kind of got it together as it went on. The command wasn't quite there. I don't think he's ready to pitch that fifth game against Texas in that series. So why not give it to Carson Spiers? Because outside of giving up a home run to Austin Hedges, which was the most shocking thing I think I've seen on a baseball field in some time, he looked phenomenal. And he's, you mentioned he had that stretch last year for 2 months or so where he was outstanding. And I felt coming into the spring, we have 4 guys in the rotation in Martinez, Singer, Lodolo, and Green that are locked into being in the rotation. And there's a fifth spot, and there's 3 guys between Abbott, Spiers, and Rhett Lauder. And somebody's got to go win it. And you can even throw Graham Ashcraft in at that point. But seems like Spiers is the guy for the job right now, and he's went out and proved that he's earned that spot and has earned his chance to keep that spot.
Yeah, we'll see, I guess, how this all shakes out. Obviously, first and foremost, it always depends on how does everyone that's in their current rotation stay healthy. But there's a lot of options coming up, and maybe we'll have some crazy stuff. Maybe we won't. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But there's also Wade Miley, who all reports are that he is ahead of schedule. That May target is pretty concrete as you can have for a guy coming back from Tommy John surgery, but he's an option in about 2 months from now. So it'll be interesting to see how the Reds play this all out. Do they play the option games here? Do they have Carson Spiers come up, make a couple starts, ship him down, bring up Abbott, ship him down? They could really be really creative with this. We'll see how all that shakes out. But the other news is news that I know a lot of Reds fans are probably pretty excited about. Graham Ashcraft is going to start the season in the Reds bullpen. Reds gave Ashcraft an opportunity to earn a starting spot. I won't necessarily say he didn't earn it. I say he foiled the opportunity. He wasn't bad this spring. If you look at kind of the individual games, he had some moments where he looked pretty good, but he didn't win it. And they also overall have the top 4 have stayed healthy in the rotation, which is the bigger reason why you didn't want to just say, hey, Graham, you're a reliever, because you don't know if the other guys are going to get healthy. I think the Reds feel like at least their top guys have gotten to a point where they're healthy. They also probably feel like even Andrew Abbott, who is starting the year on the IL, is healthy enough to join the team sooner rather than later, that they can now definitively say Ashcraft is starting in the bullpen. I'm excited to see what Ashcraft can do. I'm excited. Like, I think he can be an impact reliever. I think sometimes some people might have gone a little overboard in terms of just, oh, well, he's going to be a perfect reliever. I think he might need some time settling into that role, but I'm excited nonetheless.
Yeah, I would fully agree. I mean, we've seen the stuff. It's electric whenever he's got the command, and especially with, he can go with the cutter and the slider and the sinker back inside to righties and, really cut that ball into lefties. And I'm excited to see him just be able to, without a better phrase, just go let it eat and get 3 outs. I mean, when he's putting everything behind these pitches and he's throwing 101-mile-an-hour cutters and sinkers at 98, I mean, that's tough to hit. If he can just find a way to keep it out of the middle of the zone, go get 3 outs and, keep the line moving in the bullpen, I wouldn't say it's a perfect world for Graham Ashcraft, but if he's able to kind of carve out a role and become a high leverage guy, that's huge for the Reds. And he can provide that starting depth. If one of your top 4 or one of the guys that we mentioned in that 5 spot gets hurt, he can have a spot start or 2 for you. We saw it with Martinez down the stretch last year after he got moved to the bullpen. So I'm excited for Graham and ready to see what he can do, coming out and trying to get 3 outs for the Reds.
Yeah, it seems like the Reds bullpen's probably set. Diaz, Rogers, Pagan, Mole, Santillan, Suter, Barlow, Ashcraft. That's your 8, unless there's something unforeseen there. I agree. We've talked a lot about this bullpen, how there's not a lot of high upside arms. Ashcraft could be that high upside arm. I just don't want to discount the possibility that might not be as smooth sailing of a transition as people think. Upside is definitely there. Be excited as hell about the upside with Graham Ashcraft. I just don't want to put too much expectations that he's just going to get thrown in the bullpen and be dominant right away. I think you have to have some patience with him as well.
I agree. And, not everybody that throws a cutter out of the bullpen is going to come in and be Emmanuel Clase or Mariano Rivera. But I think he can provide these high leverage innings that we might possibly need out of him. And we saw it with Taylor Rogers is a guy that we got that came in. And then last year, Fernando Cruz was big out of the bullpen for the Reds, especially he was able to come in 7th and 8th and really get those outs that we need. And he's not here this year. But we had some, additions and Pagan's back, but you still need guys like Graham Ashcraft that can come in and get outs. And the transition might not be smooth sailing. Who knows? He might have a 6 ERA in April out of the bullpen, but we can, tool that. DJ will work with him and he'll figure out how to get those 3 outs, maybe an inning plus, the best way that he can for this team.
All right. Well, good stuff, Hunter. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on last minute and helping us talk a little bit about this news. And 1 week from opening day?
1 week.
1 week. All right. Well, take care, everyone. Appreciate you. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube. That kind of stuff really does help us out. Put in the comments what you think about the Jose Trevino deal, what you think about Carson Spiers, Graham Ashcraft. Love to hear from you. And most importantly, go Reds.
Go Reds.